Running offshore in the Gulf of Mexico, I'm always basically staring at the depth finder trying to find new spots. This little show you see here was something we ran over 216 feet of water. It was about 220, 210-ish. It would kind of vary back and forth. And I was like, man, that is something pretty legit looking. So on the Garmin, you can pause the screen, you can touch it, saves the spot. So we find this, circle back around, and start fishing. And when we start fishing, one of the very first fish we catch is a pretty nice red grouper. It's a pretty nice red grouper here, and then, red snapper following that. So red grouper lets me know, hey, this is some, pretty good hard bottom red snapper. You can get them on some live bottom, some hard bottom, but basically there's a lot of something down there. And so when I'm looking for this spot and kind of what's, actually there, we'd see some of these like kind of little breaks. If you're looking at this, you'll see, hard with some light stuff on inside of it. That lets me know that it's some pretty good broken bottom, some potholes, maybe some rocks with some cracks around it, and a lot of fish on top. And you can see some of the fish up in the water column a little bit. So when I'm looking and I see this, that's, where I want to fish, because I know this is the structure where grouper and everything is going to kind of want to be hiding. So that hard bottom with some, cheesy looking, Swiss cheesy looking stuff all around it. So I decide to send the camera down when the fishing gets pretty good. I send it down. I'm going to point this out. Normally I wouldn't point something like this out, but it's on the front right part of the boat. So camera, as it's going down to 220 feet, fast forward a little bit here. So one of the things it sees first, big shark, and that will come into play later. So big looking reef shark. So camera's going down. It's getting kind of close to the bottom here. So one of the things you'll see these dark spots. There's a little dark spot over there. Then here's the meat. So these are 3 little dark spots. What they end up being are basically potholes or little sinkholes, something like that, with some rocky bottom around them. So going back to that picture, when you see the Swiss cheesy looking stuff, that's what this is. So you'll see the 3 holes there, and then as the camera's coming around, it hits bottom, lots of mangrove snapper. Mangrove snapper are one of the best fish to see when you're offshore fishing, because you've got some good structure there. They don't just sit, in sand or whatever. They're basically the base for every offshore spot. So there's a lot of mangrove snapper here. We didn't end up catching any that day, but it's good to see that there's a lot of them there. And so you can see there's one of our baits coming down. Triggerfish is looking at it. There's one of the weights, bait. A lot of mangrove snapper. So being in the front part of the boat here, we were fishing back this way. There's a shark again. You can see the current coming across the camera going left to right. So big red snapper. So the front part of the boat is right in front of the potholes that are over here. The camera will swing around here in a minute. I'll fast forward to kind of speed up. I'll point out some of the fish that we're going to see. So even as this is going forward, you'll see some of the mangrove snapper and stuff kind of coming in and out of frame. There's a big red snapper. Shark just went over there again. So it might be hard to see, but there's a big grouper back here and swimming towards the holes. Okay. And the camera starts to come around here. So here, there's 2 things I notice with the camera being down there. This is why it really helps. So up in front of the boat, this is now looking forward, there's a little ledge up here. And it's going to be pretty hard for you to see when some of the compression gets put into the YouTube video, but there's a lot of fish up here as well. So this is something I want to go back and explore in the future. There's that little ledge right up there. So now the camera's coming around. You can see these potholes. They drop down. They're almost like little sinkholes as well. If you picture a big sinkhole offshore, it's, size of a basketball court or a soccer field. with just gigantic hole that drops down to however far. These are miniature versions of that. And there's a lot of fish going in and out of them. There's, you can see the little undercroppings with the ledge looking type area. And there's gag grouper. There's red snapper. There's schools, clouds of mangrove snappers. So there's not even really much in terms of bait fish. Your vermilion snapper, your lane snapper. But there's some scamp grouper. And this is where we were dropping our baits into. So a couple big gag grouper. There's another big one right there. So our baits were dropping basically right into this when we were fishing on the back of the boat. You can see basically a little rusty belly right there. I think we ended up hooking that fish, and unfortunately we got sharked. Because we caught about a 25-pound gag grouper, but the bigger fish that we hooked got sharked, and I think it ended up being one of those big gag grouper, which is kind of heartbreaking. So more big triggerfish, more mangrove snapper. A lot of mangrove snapper. That gag grouper is just kind of sitting, patrolling around those holes. Every time we dropped a bait into the holes, it got hit immediately. It was pretty wide open bite. There was no waiting around. Being able to position the boat where we did with the rode and trolling motor helped immensely. And knowing what's down there now will also help me know that, hey, I've got to get right on this spot. It's not very big. So here's a pretty good look at it as the camera sits still. So, this is 30, 40 feet behind the boat with the amount of current that we had. It was putting our baits right into it. We used 60 to 80 pound leader, fluorocarbon. Some of the weights were 12 to 16 ounces with the amount of current that we were dealing with. But every time a bait hit the bottom, it was bit. So here's the camera turned a little bit. So now you can see this is in front of the boat again. There's a cloud of fish over here, and that's over towards that other little ledge that I'm definitely going to try to fish next time as well. Because I think a lot of these fish just kind of go back and forth between the spots. And if you got a nice ledge like that, out that deep, big gag grouper, big red snapper, all that good stuff. And the biggest surprise to me was seeing scamps on a spot like this, because it's not crazy relief by any means. And big scamp grouper are awesome. They're one of the best eating grouper there is. Get that true broomtail look to a scamp. It's an awesome fish. Just this little spot in the middle of nowhere, holding all these fish, is pretty amazing. You can see big scamp grouper, big red snapper, big scamp grouper. Go back just a little bit. You see how it kind of drops. All these fish just in and around it. Pretty amazing that something that small we were able to find that deep. That's one of the reasons I'm intently staring at the depth finder. And here's something else. Okay, see this fish right here? There's our weight. This is the bigger gag grouper that we hooked. So watch it kind of come around. You can see it's hooked right now. So it's fighting. It's trying. The shark gets fired up. It knows it's hooked. So there's the gag trying to get back down into the spot. And when they said they had a bigger fish, that's when I started to bring the GoPro up. I didn't want to get it, tangled in anything. So watch again. You see that fish? It's trying to get back down in the structure. Pretty cool look at what a hooked gag is doing. Go back to it one more time so you can see the kind of the real time. So right here is the gag hooked, and it's trying. It's going. There's a shark. It's trying to get back down in there. So I'm bringing the camera up just to kind of not get anything tangled up down there. So that's a look at a spot. How something, that's nothing insane in terms of bottom. When you're sitting there, and also zoom in a lot. I have this set with only a 40-foot variance in 200 plus feet of water. So here's the zoomed out version. You're not really going to see much unless you're sitting on it. So definitely want to be zoomed in to get that full show. And you know, this is what it looked like while we were on plane. Just a little vertical line that I turned around immediately. I was like, hey, we need to check this out. You never know when it's going to turn into your next honey hole. So always be staring at that depth finder. Check it out. You know, look at what you're running over. You never know. Explore. Find your own stuff. Don't always just go to the same stuff while you're going between spots. If it's not that far apart, go slow. Look around. Do some exploring. So I'm going to leave it now with just some of the fishing while we were actually, you know, what it looked like when we were above. And you can see some of these big fish that were getting off the spot. Thanks.
Something's hitting mine again.
All right, you're 25 feet. So where is it? There it is. Big red grouper. Is that a gag?
You gonna get the net? The gag?
No, it's a red.
Big red. Oh yeah. Oh, fire truck.
Yeah, that's a good red.
Hold on.
That's a big red grouper.
Hell
Wow,
yeah.
that is a real big red grouper.
Good.
I can't give him hell.
Just swim out, didn't it?
No.
You can get him out.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's out.
Is he out?
How do you go in low gear?
I put him in low gear.
Okay.
Bang, bang.
That's a hell of a fish.
Yeah.
Not bad. Nice. Hey.
Go back under.
All right,
Yeah.
baby.
What'd Clepac
I
get?
let mine real loose.
Big
Johnny.
red
He
grouper.
swam out.
So apparently there's a good piece of bottom right here.
Yeah.
Must be a ledge or something under there. Don, you gonna get yours in?
I don't know, Caleb.
220 feet, baby. I got it up, Caleb.
Nice.
Oh, Scamp City. Holy.
Get the net. Get the
That is an awesome fish.
Net me.
Monster scamp.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's an awesome one.
That is a.
Wow.
Nice.
Look at the color on that thing.
No, it's the biggest I've ever seen.
That's an awesome one right there.
That's,
That's a true broomtail. Big one. Yeah.
whoa.
Alrighty.
Holy smoke. I told you I was a big fish, Don. I'm caught in him. Just hold that. Yeah.
I move on the octopus with something yanked off.
That's a hard thing to yank off.
Probably another one of those.
Got bit in half.
Oh no.
That was a giant red snapper too.
I wondered why he suddenly got going easier.
Half a red snapper.
Ah!
Crank that bad boy, man.
What are you doing messing around?
You making any ground?
That's a big bonita.
A big chunk. Big old chunk of bonita.
I don't know. I felt
It's a big fish.
You need a bigger one?
No.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, we are in the meat here. You're gonna get sharked if you keep playing around.
Oh, I know, Chappie.
I'm here to motivate from the sidelines. I'm on the DL at the moment. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You want me to step in so we can get it up?
Yeah, you want to grab it then. Getting on.
Big fish, man.
Yeah.
Be a monster gag. Uh-oh.
Oh, did you get tired?
Yeah. Yeah, I was say maybe.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Just strip.
Oh, what the hell? It got sharked. It just got sharked.
Did this so you think a head on it?
Literally right there, it got sharked. You serious?
Right.
Cut it completely off. Dude, what was that? God, I can't believe that thing got cut off over there.
Nice.
Woo!
Told you that was a good one.
Oh boy.
Father son catch.
Father son catch on bottom fish.
What is that? Why is there a bunch of sharks here?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. What's it? Dude, look at how big that was.
Damn.
Oh my.
That is a scamp? Gag? Gag, dude.
Whoa.
Nice gag.
God, we got a system, buddy.
Nice gag. Scamp! Scamp, baby! Oh, God.
How big do they have to be?
16. Oh, busting back there now. Wow.
Yeah, you can measure him, but he's plenty long.
That was on your hog ball, Chapman, that I stopped on the way down.
I know.
It might have made it to the bottom when you stopped it.
Got color. Is that a gag?
Yeah, me.
Red grouper? Gag?
I don't know what that is.
I think it's gag. Where's that net?
Net.
Gag. On the hog ball. Picture time. Dude.